Thank you for inviting me here. My name is Pim Neefjes. You heard already a story about from Peter Glass, our Delta Commissioner, and I will go into a bit more detail for this area. These things is the contents, and I think you will see a lot of slides already seen because everybody tells you that the Netherlands is a delta, and we have a delta program, and if we have serious issues, we always say we need a delta program, but this is the actual delta program. And the rest I will tell you more about as well. This picture you have seen already, the delta, the Netherlands, 4 rivers coming up, and we are the lucky bastards to have the 2 biggest coming here, and we have to handle that. This is, on the left, is what Peter Glass already told you. 2/3 of our people, our land, our economics are vulnerable to flooding. And on the right, you see if we don't do anything about our dikes, and you're looking just here from Rotterdam on a ship like this, so we're still floating, and you can see Amsterdam under the water. So some people like that view, but it's not very nice to have. I lived in Amsterdam, so it can stay for me. This you have seen as well from Peter. We have many threats coming up, and some are already now. If you're talking about dry, less water coming up, soil subsidence is already there, spatial developments, 50,000 houses, intense rainfall, like we had last summer in Limburg. It could happen as well here. And some are more for the farther future, like sea level rise coming up. And sea level rise is, for this area, one of the big threats, but lucky enough, we have some time to deal with it. And how did we deal with that in the last century? We always reacted on ramps. We had floods in 1916, so we built an afsluitdijk. We had the South Sea, and it's just making the coastline shorter. And you make a big dam, we call it a dike, it's a dam, but who cares? And then we had 1953, the big disasters here in Zeeland and also South Holland. And we built the Delta Works. And then we had high floodings from rivers coming up. And we got the program Room for the River. And we made these rivers a little bit wider. In the far history, they were already very wide. We made them very close, and now we made them a little bit wider again. And our new aim is to stay ahead from the next disaster. And that's pretty tough to do. And how will we do it? It's not very complicated, actually. The main thing is prevention. Dunes, dikes, storm surge barriers, keep this water away from us. But also, ahead of that, think about where you do your spatial planning and think, should we do it here, should we do it there? And how strong should the dike be around that? And the third layer is be prepared if it happens. So have a good crisis management. And this is our current strategy for our area here in the bigger Rotterdam area. We have an open sea, but we can close it. We have the storm surge barrier. And the storm surge barrier here in the Nieuwe Waterway is the Maaslandkering. You have seen it on a lot of pictures in this morning already. We're very proud of that. But we also have the oldest one at the Hollandse IJssel, the Hollandse IJsselkering. And then we have the Haringvliet sluices, and we have the Hartel barrier, and that's connected with the Maasland barrier. So if the water comes from the river, it flows to the sea. And if it comes from the sea, it's too high, we close it with barriers. And then we have this threat of sea level rise. This is from the past. This is what we see if you started at 1900 till approximately now. And it says 2 millimeters per year rising. So that's in 100 years, 20 centimeters. And I think for the civil engineers, they say, okay, no problem, we can do that. But the 2 millimeters a year in the future could get higher. And then we have these pictures. Peter also showed this picture on the right side. So we don't know how much it will increase. And if you look at the blue dotted line over there, that's an RCP scenario. This is the greenhouse effect scenario of 2.6. And it means that we have to do a lot about not flying, eating meat, etc., etc. And then the problem is not that big till 2300. But we also have another scenarios, and the RCP 8.5 is a scenario for the climate not so ambitious, well, like we're doing now maybe, or more or less. And then you can see that we get more sea level rise, and it could go up to 1 meter around 2100. And if you look to 2300, you come to 5-6 meters at the max. So there is a huge gap between those 5 meters in 2300 or only 1 meter in 2300. So maybe if you are in a hurry, you should hurry to get to the blue line. And at this moment, we are investigating how should we handle this sea level rise. And the Dutch government, Peter Glass with the Delta Commissioner, but also the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management, they started a program, the Sea Level Rise Research Program, because we have time, but we shouldn't waste it, and knowledge is money. Go on. This knowledge program has 5 themes. The first theme is what's facing us, and that's actually what's happening on Antarctica. And at KNMI, Royal Meteorological Institute, I don't know if it's correct, but they're focusing on that. We as Rijkswaterstaat are focusing on the second theme. What is our current strategy? Like I told you before, it's just dikes, dams, dunes, and storm surge barriers. And can we improve that? And then we have more teams, and the 4 teams is also coming along most of the times. Do we have long-term perspectives? And then I show you the pictures many people already showed about closed, open, going to Germany, etc. So in team 2, we look, how is our current strategy? How is it working? And we don't look only at flood risk, but we look also at fresh water supply. Because these, you can't do it just one on your own and not let somebody else do the other thing, because it's this one water system. We're looking at flood risk, fresh water supply, and also at the coastline. How should we keep the coastline with sand, keep it high enough? And we know we're not alone, so we have to handle spatial planning. We have to handle ports and shipping, etc., nature. So we have to have a bigger view how to handle that. And we're looking at different levels of sea level rise. We're looking at half a meter sea level rise. We're looking at 1 meter. We're looking at 2 meters. We're looking even at 3 and 5 meters. And you can say 5 meters, that's beyond 2100. But it gives you an idea of where it can get. And for us, we have a Delta program, and in 26, we have to make a new strategy for the next 6 years. And for us, actually, this 0.5 and 1 meter is more important, because that's coming first of all, always, of course. And this is our famous Maaslandkering. It was open at Pieters. We closed it once a while. And actually, we have it now for 25 years. It's also a celebration. And it was expected to close once every 10 years. And actually, in 25 years, we never closed it on a water level we expected. Because we say, if we expect a water level at 3 meter plus in Rotterdam, we closed the Maasland barrier. And actually that didn't happen the last 25 years. But if you have sea level rise, from once every 10 years, if you have 0.6 meter sea level rise, the average closing is already once a year. And if you have 1.2 meter sea level rise, the closing will be 10 times a year. And you can go on and on. And you can probably imagine that for the port of Rotterdam, once every 10 years, that's okay. Once every year, that's okay. But 30 times a year, it's a bit of a problem. Because these ships, they need to come in, and the economy is also important. So we have to handle that and think, what is the time schedule for this storm surge barrier with sea level rise? Because if you look at sea level rise and you look at these frequencies of with 1 meter, 1.2 meters, 10 times a year, and maybe that's okay for everybody, but maybe not. You can also say, okay, I don't close at 3 meter plus, I close at 3.5 meter plus. That's okay for the dikes, but it's not okay for the unembanked areas. I myself live at an embanked area. It's pretty much the safest place to live. But if you have this sea level rise coming up, you get the frequency of flooding, and that's just wet feet, going more and more. And here you will see that all the red is an embanked area. That's mainly the harbor and here the Rotterdam city and Dordrecht. And also all the blue is an embanked area. And the blue is more nature-like. And most of the time that is even lower. So that will go flood even more with sea level rise. And here I have a picture on the right side. Here you see, that's a study of the port of Rotterdam. What happens with a chance of once per 10,000 years at the Maasvlakte now. So that's a very small chance with a big, how do you say it in English? Sorry, yeah, thanks. And this is for now. Once every 10,000 years, people say, okay, it probably won't happen. I take my chances. But once every 10,000 years, with sea level rise, this picture becomes once every 1,000 years, once every 100 years, maybe once every 10 years. And then you should have handled. So that's what we could realize if we get sea level rise. And the Maasvlakte, it's also at the seaside of our storm surge barriers. So the storm surge barrier helps for the city of Rotterdam here, it helps for the harbors of the Waalhaven, etc., the Botlek, but it doesn't help for the Maasvlakte. So there we come to this famous picture of Deltaris, Team 4 of the knowledge program. That's the long-term perspectives. And what can we do now? Left, yeah, we can make a very huge wall. This is actually if you make sluices in the new waterway, you do this, the left side. So you pump one of the biggest rivers of Europe, you pump it into the sea. That's what you're gonna do. Actually, that's at the IJssel Lake we're already a bit doing, but that's for the whole stream then. Protected open is what we actually do more or less now. You have high rivers, you have a dike, and you have a low polder, and we live there happily ever after. You can also check to the, if you at the left here, and downside. Okay, we go to the sea, we make new islands, but also there you have to pump. And what Peter Glass already said, not on his time, I'm not as gray as he, but I will be in the future as well. Not on my time also, I can tell you. But it's good to know the ideas. It's good to realize for 1 or 2 meters, that's not going to happen. But if you come to 10 or 15 meters, and then we are centuries away, you have to think over maybe. 2 more minutes. Oh, I'm good. And we had crossroads. Han talked about crossroads. And we are talking about adaptive pathways. And actually that's, for me, the reason to think we are here now, we have some time, and we know that the sea level rise is coming up. So you have to invest in knowledge and study on what's facing us, so you can make adaptive pathways. So you know, okay, here, and this could be different in Rotterdam than for example, in Vlissingen. Here you can go to the right, you can go to the left, and at the end, you have opportunities. And it's not that we have to deal now with, let's take the upper one or the lower one. It's just knowing that you have time and you have pathways and you can choose in the future. And maybe we choose this. I got this from Ties Rijken. He will be here tomorrow. And this is a new storm surge barrier. I have to thank TU Delft, HKV, and Roy Haas-Koning for this picture. And maybe we have a sluice with a dam. Maybe we have it completely open. All options are still open. And lucky enough, you don't have to decide about it yet. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Pim. Please.